Alright, so I think I'm recording. Let's take a look at this application problem. In Skill Packet 5, we're looking at exponential and logarithmic functions, and in Skill 5G, we were solving equations, and here, the last few problems on this day 2 are some applications. It gives us a function, and by we can change this, we can use this function to set up an equation and solve an equation and hopefully answer the question they're asking us. So here, let's see, we've got skydivers, which might be terrifying. The velocity of a skydiver in feet per second, t seconds after jumping, is given by this function, v, which apparently is for velocity. Velocity is a function of t, which is in time. V of t is equal to 90 times this quantity, 1 minus e raised to the negative 0.18 t. After how many seconds will the velocity be 50 feet per second? So, well, let's when you jump out of the airplane at t equal 0 seconds, so the velocity of the airplane just as you're jumping, if t is 0, 1 minus 1, well, that doesn't make any sense. Oh, okay, so I guess it's not going to give it, I thought it would give us the velocity of the airplane, but it's just given, hey, that you haven't started falling yet, all right? So how many 50 feet per second. So on the left-hand side, it's 50. So I guess it does make sense. Let's think about this. It does make sense. If we plug in 0, then we get 90 times 1 minus e to the negative 0.18 times 0. And this is 90 times 1 minus 1, which is 0. So when you're in the plane and you're ready to jump out of the plane, this function is telling us the velocity at which we're falling. Well, we haven't started to fall yet. We're in the airplane, and then as soon as we jump out of the airplane, we start falling, and so our velocity is going to start to increase, and eventually they're saying that it'll get to 50 feet per second, and we need to know how long does that take to when we're falling. There's falling really fast at 50 feet per second. Will it be 1 second after we jump, 2 seconds after we jump? Does it take 10 seconds to get up to 50 feet per second? How long does it take? Well, that's what this function is allowing us to do, is that when you jump out of that plane, it might be 3 seconds, 4 seconds, 5 seconds. Like I say, it might be 10 seconds or longer that all of a sudden your velocity is increasing because you are falling very rapidly to the ground, and then hopefully you'll pull a parachute and not crash to the ground. That would be a whole different problem that would have a very sad ending. All right, so let's come in and start. Look at this. So the velocity that we want on the left-hand side, v is a measure of the velocity, is 50. And on the right-hand side, we have this 90, 1 minus e to the negative 0.18 t. So now that we've substituted our value, we have an equation to solve, and it's just like all the other equations that we've solved in this homework. On the right-hand side, the term of interest, the factor of interest, is this factor. It has my variable. So I need to divide both sides by 90. Well, 50 divided by 90 is going to reduce to 9/5 because the zeros, a common factor of 10 cancels, and that reduces. And I have 1 minus e to the negative 0.18 t. Well, this is two terms. This is the term that I want to get by itself. I need to subtract 1 from each side of the equation. So I've got 5/9 minus 1. I'm going to write that as 9 over 9 is equal to negative. All right, so I'm going to write the 5 minus 9 is negative 4, and this is a negative number, so I can come in and say, if I multiply both sides by negative 1, that I get this. So now, if I take the natural log of each side, if I take the natural log of 4/9, I have to take the natural log of this e that's being raised to this power, and by the product rule, I'm going to write this on the right hand side now. By the product rule, this exponent comes down out in front, and we've seen that the natural log of e is just 1, and I've got the natural log of 4/9, and now I need these two factors. It's the factor t of interest. I need to divide both sides by this negative value. So let's give people a decimal approximation here. How many seconds will it take to reach a falling velocity of negative 50 feet per second? I said negative because I was keying in a negative. 4.5 seconds. 4.505 seconds. That's how many seconds after you jump out of the plane, as you're probably screaming, that you're going to reach 50 feet per second. All right, I hope that helps.